Hey there, YouTubers and subscribers! RoseRed17 here, and this is Fairy Tail 100 Request Volume 10, Chapter 82 to 90. I know it's been a long time since I did a Fairy Tail 100 Request video, but I have been more focused on Eden Zero than I have been focusing on Fairy Tail 100 Requests. I am also working on my fanfiction video called Fairy Tail Beauty and the Witch, and not to mention work and school. Now that sounds like my daily busy life. Now on with the review. Now onto the chapter called The Revenge Match, which is pretty much the rematch of Lucy fighting against Mimi, which is the battle that'll be shown in the next chapter, because right now is the focus on Celine releasing her magic power causing tidal waves across the dimensions, as shown in the beginning of the chapter in the town of Yerma where Mophopia lives, and realize that Celine is the one causing the water to rise. Then it cuts to the battle of Celine and Suzaku, and this guy is getting hammered by her attacks. We've seen him take down two strong wizards and single-handedly take down a handful of monsters without moving from that one spot. This shows how powerful Celine really is, and to top it all off, she's really gonna go all out. Cut back to Gray and Lucy as they go head-to-head with Mimi and Hakune. First off, it starts out with Lucy and Mimi's battle. As I mentioned, there is more to the battle in the next chapter, but right now, until the end of the chapter, it's just a warm-up for us viewers to be prepared. Now on to the chapter of the battle between Mimi and Lucy, and I will have to say, this one really intrigued me. This one has got to be one of my favorite Lucy fights, along with the demon from Tartaros and her against Flare in the Grand Magic game. Now I thought she was gonna win by using the new Star Dress combination, but Mimi wouldn't give her the chance to change forms. Well, Lucy realizes this and had to take a different approach. First, she uses her whip to get herself away from Mimi's attack and then summon Aquarius. But little did Mimi know is that Aquarius was just a decoy. When she decided to attack Aquarius, Lucy was preparing herself for the strongest spell, the Anometria, which is the one spell that she used to take down the strongest opponents that she's ever faced. The only downside is that it takes time to chat, as Lucy mentioned in this panel, and it also used up most of her magic power. But then I just realized something. How exactly long does it take to cast this spell? Well, for me to get the answer to that question, I went to the episodes to when she first cast the spell and then to the last time she cast it in the anime, including the Fairy Tail gameplay from the Nintendo Switch. And so I timed each one and noticed they have different time limits. The first one was 40 seconds long. The second one was a minute and 3 seconds. The third was 33 seconds. The fourth was 38 seconds. And the fifth was 36 seconds. Now, this begs the question, if it takes less than a minute to chat it, why does it seem like it takes so long to process? Well, in truth, it doesn't. But I also know that anything could happen in those 30 to 40 seconds of chanting. Remember, Mimi wasn't giving Lucy the chance to change into her Star Dress, which would take no more than 10 or 5 seconds. 30 to 40 seconds is short in reality, but in anime, those seconds are like 5 minutes, and 5 minutes is a whole goddamn episode. Now, those of you who watch anime and know about this anime logic, then good, because I don't feel like explaining, and I want to finish talking about this chapter and then go on to the next one. So, like I said, Lucy uses the Anometria spell to take down Mimi, and then ends up falling to the ground herself. I know in this panel it looks like Lucy has lost, but the thing is, Mimi has fainted while she's still standing, which means she's unconscious, so this battle could have ended in a draw. Now on to the next battle, which is Gray versus Hakune. And I have to say, I really like this chapter, because for one thing, Gray is finally getting some screen fighting in the sequel. Did you know, throughout reading this manga, when everyone has gained power-ups and new skills, Gray has been left out when it comes to upgrades, which is a shame. Gray is a unique character, who has the combat training skills and knowledge to take out his foes, and his Demon Slayer is not only his strongest magic, but it also has been his trump card. But is that really all he has? Isn't there like anything else to gain? Nothing out of the ordinary from him during his battles in the manga, because compared to the other characters and during their battle, there is something new. Like Lucy's Star Dress combination, Wendy's Balseria form, Urza's Ice and Fire Swords, and Natsu's 100 crazy power-up. Okay, nothing different there, but still. Gray has been left in the dust when it comes to new skills or power, as he's been using the same old magic that was given to him from Or and his father. But in this chapter, hopefully there will be something new, and finds a way to defeat Hakune the Snow Witch at her her own game. Another reason why I like this chapter is that Gray is opening up his feelings towards Juvia. Hakune ends up putting him under a spell where he ends up in a fantasy world which was a loving family that he's ever wished for. But he breaks himself out of that dream and back into reality. And what fascinated me about Gray in this chapter is what he said at the end. You see, he didn't want to make himself happy, he wants to make Juvia happy. Now that is one hell of a confession if I ever had one. And that is all I have to say about this chapter. Now on to the next chapter called Ice Giants. Things starting to look good for Gray as he managed to defeat Hakune and her Diamond Titans with the help of his giant ice army. When I saw that panel, I literally shouted in my mind, "Finally!" Gray is in the same lead as the others, and I know I said in the last chapter that Gray has been getting the shaft, but I have enough about Gray being the weakest link in Fairy Tail 100 Quest. And this chapter gives him the upgrade he needed to defeat his foes. And the only drawback about it is that it was short. I mean, the fight was over before it began. I know fans of Gray are upset about the battle being over so quickly, but for me, I don't think it's a big deal. Considering the rest of the chapter, there's a lot more going on. Like, Elanter's really going to with all those hands popping out of the ground as Wendy started to get deja vu and remember the faces from Totaro's. I like it when they have references from previous arcs from the original story, especially from the Totaro's arc. Now back to the chapter. Once I saw that fist on the ground and the panels of those faces, you knew that those two were back up and ready to fight Celine. And to be honest, after reading this section, I expected them to be unconscious for another chapter or so. But then again, the world around them is dying, so the pathetic priestess needs their help. And yeah, I said pathetic because this character is useless. This is supposed to be a wise and powerful person who's supposed to be taking care of her people. Even Gray is yelling at her and telling her to get it together, but she's just crying like a baby. Oh, the world is going to disappear! How can I calm down? What kind of priestess are you? Maybe you're the reason your world is going to shit instead of Celine. Speaking of which, we see at the end of the chapter with the Moon Dragon God still battling with Suzaku, and that continuation of that fight goes on. In the next chapter, we see giant hands popping out of the surface. Natsu's team and Toka jump through a portal to teleport to the source of the cause. But she couldn't get close enough as more hands pop out, bleeding out monsters to attack the group. Yeah, this ain't disturbing at all. Natsu and Happy decide to fly up to the top, and Wendy noticed something about the hands and wanted to check something out. Meanwhile, the battle between Celine and Suzaku continues on, as Celine mentioned that the dragon that Suzaku killed and devoured was actually her son. The fight started to get more intense as it seems like Suzaku's going to win by the looks of it. Celine has fallen to the ground and then creates a portal to escape from Suzaku. While back with Natsu, him and Happy gets cornered by monsters. But then Natsu blasts them away and the chapter ends with the panel of Natsu, Suzaku, and Celine. Now before I begin with chapter 87 in Unsightly World, I would like to talk about the page cover here. Now, can someone tell me my problem with this? No? Okay, then I'll tell you. I hate this cover page. Why? Because it's publicly disrespectful to Lizana. Her losing to Lucy during their first battle was more rational, and it was obvious that Lucy was much more powerful, therefore she had the upper hand. This fight didn't bother me as much as it used to anymore, but having a cover page showing Lizana losing to Lucy at a simple game of catching the flag is downright disrespectful. Even her own sister's cheering for Lucy. Like, what the Mira? Overall, I just want to get this out of the way. If there was like any other girl in the shot, I would be okay with it. I would have just brushed this off like any other page cover, but this one got my attention and for various reasons, like the stuff I just mentioned before. But I will say this, it could have been worse. They could have put Yukuno in that shot and it could have made me more pissed off. Don't you dare mess with my girl. Anyway, on with the chapter. So the chapter begins with Natsu and Happy running towards Celine and Suzaku as they saw the two go through the portal and disappear. Having to miss their chance to get Celine, they noticed more hands were popping out, so they returned to the group to deal with them. But Wendy told everyone to think back to the time of Totaro's and the weapon face. She did some research on the hands and found a connection between the two and discovered the core is underground. So our heroes formed a group circle shouting to attack the main body. Then Lucy summoned Virgo to dig their way into the underground lair, where they witness this, which looks creepy if you ask me. So in the next chapter is titled Alphaphase, which is pretty much the group fighting against this thing. While on the surface, Ferris and the old priestess discuss the history of the hands and learn about the Alphaphase, which is the source of Elantir's overpowered magic, and that it was sealed away years ago, but the seal has broken and the Alphaphase has been released. The priestess decided to put her faith in Fairy Tail. Natsu and the others gave everything they got, but the face seems to overpower them, literally, as the light coming from the face makes it where they can't use their magic, which doesn't make any sense, because they're at the source of the creature that spreads out the overflow of magic. But then Irene explains the overflow of magic is canceling out their magic. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna read it from this panel. It's an overflow. Irene-san! Because your magic power has been pushed to its limit, your body thinks that its magic power has reached 0. What? For instance, suppose you have something that only displays up to 99. How would the display look when it reaches 100? 100. Correct. That's why your body has mistaken your magic power to be at 0, but in reality it's different. The magic power you produce makes all your magic power stronger at its limit. Your magic power and your body. How many hardship has they come over? So then, you've already noticed, my limit isn't here! Power up! So yeah, due to Irene's explanation, Wendy managed to go past her limits, giving her a grown-up body, sort of, and told everyone else to go reach their limits of magic power and defeat the Alphaphase in one-shot panel. I know some people were pissed off at the fact they defeated the enemy in one chapter, but to me this isn't really a big deal because there are still other enemies they have to fight. So the chapter ends with Natsu shouting out his speech about what it means to be a fairy tale wizard. Continue on to the next chapter, the group made their escape to the surface as the people noticed the hands were being destroyed and called for victory. Lucy gives a dialogue of what happened after the destruction of the Alphaphase. A lot would happen to Celine's minion. They were judged and imprisoned by Elantir's laws. Later, everyone partied again for victory, but as usual, the team has their habits of being weird and abnormal. But it's okay. They don't mind at all, as Lucy's dialogue wraps up with Natsu speaking about going back home and everyone saying their goodbyes. But before that, Ferris apologizes to the group and then Natsu decides to punish her for her bad deeds. He pulls out his fist and gives her a light fit tap on the head and thanking her for giving him an exciting battle. Oh, typical Natsu. And in the end, they all went back home to Earthland. Natsu and the others returned home greeted by everyone. Juvia is excited to see Gray and Gray seemed to be okay with this. I mean, after all, he was thinking about her during his fight with the ice crystal chick, and others seem to notice the change as well. He isn't freaking out or trying to run away from her anymore. But moving on, Natsu and Gaiju got into a fight, everyone else starts to chat about this and that, and then cuts to a scene with Urza and Jalal. Urza cleared things up with Jalal about Ferris and the White Witch situation. And this is the moment that I've been waiting to talk about in this video since I first read this chapter. Urza making her move and asking Jalal to join Fairy Tail. Jalal still isn't sure yet, but Urza is willing to give him some time to think about it, and he should give her an answer later. I was surprised at the moment when Urza reached out and touched his hand, showing that this woman is making her move on this man. Since he rejected her last time but then lied to her, even though she discovered later that he did lie to her but still forgives him and willing to wait. However, in this chapter, her patience has run out and she decided to make the first move. Way to go, Urza! Way to go! Now I should wrap this up since this is the last chapter of the volume. Sorry I forgot to mention this before, but yeah, this is the last chapter of the volume. So anyways, it shows the Dragon Eater's base with Celine chained up, as the leader is willing to eat her. But then Celine wakes up, transforming her dragon form, and then kills him. Yeah, just like that, he's dead. Celine killed him, leaving the other members in fear and horror. What will happen next in Volume 11? Well, we're just gonna have to wait and see. So overall, this one was good. There are some good action scenes along with the battle between Suzaku and Celine, and Fairy Tail fighting that creepy Alphaphase, but what excels the most is Natsu giving Ferris a light punishment and Urza making her move on Jalal. So overall, that is all I have to say. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button for more updates if you're new to this channel. And if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and also follow me on Twitter, Discord, and TikTok. And I hope to see you again. RoseRed17 out.